Okay, then good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on from where you are connecting right now. My name is Ala, the Technology Director in ICF Egypt chapter, and this is our MCC MENA coaching initiative, the first one of its kind in MENA region, and taking place during the ICW and extended a week after, so we can cover lots of or all our MCC coaches that we managed to bring in into the initiative from 8 to 20. So make sure that you're joining as much as you can. This is a series of coaching demonstrations run by top master coaches in MENA region. And today's session is about the competency of the gift of coaching presence with our master coach, Shahira Rifaat. Welcome, Shahira. And hi. And I will quickly introduce Shahira because Shahira actual bio is like 3 pages or something. So we will need 2 demos like that to cover both Shahira. But in short, Shahira is a leadership and humanization coach who strongly advocates for the potential of genuine human connections and transformations. With over 25 years of professional experience, she has been active in coaching industry since 2007 and is recognized as one of Egypt's trailblazers in the field. She played a key role in establishing the International Coaching Federation Egypt chapter in 2015 and served as the chapter president for 3 years from 2017 to 2019. Before I give back the mic to Shahira, just a reminder, this session is 90 minutes. 3 of them would be the demo, and then 3 of them would be, sorry, the first 3 minutes would be introduction to a competency that by Shahira, and then the 30 minutes coaching demo and 30 minutes debrief with questions and answers. Please remember at the end of the session, I will be posting a link into the chat. If you stay till the end of the session, you will receive 1.5 CTE hours certificate. So stay tuned and don't forget to fill the form. Over to you, Shahira.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here. And looking at the chat, I'm seeing people from all around the world, and it just makes me so, it makes me feel amazing. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you, Egypt chapter, for organizing this. It's an amazing initiative. Thank you. And I just wanted to ask you a question. I mean, did you know that focusing on the present moment reduces your stress level? Did anybody know that? You can open your mics, by the way, and answer.
Okay, we'll give them the ability to unmute. Okay, anyone can unmute if you wish.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know too.
All right, that's amazing, because it made me feel so much better before I get into this session when I was preparing it. And the topic of my presentation today is the gift of coaching presence. And the more I was in the moment when I was preparing for this presentation, the more I was less anxious about it. So it was just like, like an observation that I wanted to share with you before we start. So now I will start sharing my screen. Okay. All right. So the gift of coaching presence is actually competency number 5, which is maintaining presence. And as ICF defines it, it is to be fully conscious and present with client, employing a style that is open, flexible, grounded, and confident.
Shahira,
Yes.
could you please switch the view because it's showing the slides and the next one. So just if you can,
Okay. All right.
that's
Okay.
perfect right now. Thank you.
Okay.
So just we can focus and be present with the presentation. Otherwise, we'll be reading the next one.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So okay, so maintaining presence is competency, as we said, it's competency number 5. And the competency marker that shows that the coach is actually maintaining presence is to remain focused, observant, empathetic, and responsive to the client. And it's also to demonstrate curiosity during the coaching process and to manage one's emotions to stay present for the client. So to demonstrate also the confidence in working with strong emotions, because some coaches could feel like a little bit uncomfortable dealing with strong emotions that is shown or presented by the client during the coaching process. Okay, so it is very, very important that we create a coaching space. And by creating a coaching space, we mean that we are fully present with our clients. So each one of us has a way of creating that coaching space for ourselves. Whatever it is, you just need to be present as a coach. So that could be, some people like use techniques like breathing techniques, meditation techniques, whatever the technique it is that works best for you, please do it. But whatever it takes, you need to be present, leaving everything behind, to be fully attentive to the client and to be fully present with your client. All right. This being with versus doing to the client was like a game changer for me, moving from PCC to MCC level. I know it's annoying where you understand, it's easy, it's common sense, but sometimes when you are doing your journey and you are ready to receive a certain information, it hits home. And during my MCC journey, this was one of the things that was a game changer for me, being with versus doing to the client. So it's like basically saying when you are here in the mind versus being here in the heart. So we will explore together what it means. So being with the client automatically equals being fully present. So it allows us to listen to who and how the client is feeling, rather than what is going on, all right? So we start responding to their words, their body language, their emotions, their hand movement, their eyes. I mean, these are all like what we say, like they're cues and clues for us to follow in order to be able to respond to what the client is going through. So it's basically paying attention to these very subtle cues and very subtle shifts. Okay, versus doing to the client, okay, which is basically automatically translates into problem solving, asking leading questions, offering suggestions, offering our own analysis. It just automatically puts us in the doing mode, you know, so we start like kind of, focusing on performance, on methodologies versus being, which helps us be like a channel or a vessel of emergence, where we are part of the process, we are part of being with the client rather than trying to fix or solve or give suggestions and trying to find a solution to what is going on. When we are fully present, when we reach this point of being fully present, this allows us to respond to the whole person, because the human being is a holistic human being, okay? So we're not just listening to one part. We're actually listening to everything. We're listening to the whole person. We trust that the client is full of resources and they go beyond their level of thinking. So it's not just what they're thinking. No, they are full of resources. They're full of ideas. They have what it takes to come up with a solution to their problem or whatever, to their challenges. So at that point, we need to start listening to listening for opportunities so that we can start responding to them and exploring beyond the client thinking level. Because as they say, you know, you can't treat the same issue with the same level of thinking as Einstein said, you know. So we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So we need to do something different about it. And this is going to help us raise the client's awareness level. All right, so curiosity. Curiosity here does not mean internalizing what the client has said and analyzing it. This is not curiosity. It doesn't mean that to look for answers in order to satisfy our own curiosity. This is not curiosity. Curiosity here means to pull out the information out of our client to make them speak it out loud so that they can peel the layers to understand what is going on. It is already there, but it was not discovered. So this is our role to support our clients through our curiosity, to dig deeper, to have a bigger impact and a deeper meaning. Okay, so in order to stay curious and to be fully present, the coach needs to be authentically curious about who the client is. Again, it's responding to the whole person, as we said. Okay, listening to everything, you know, everything, every detail is a clue. Okay, so, and the coach to be willing to be vulnerable and soulful. This is very, very important. And we need to leave our egos behind, because sometimes we get stuck like, I know I need to kind of show my coaching skills. I know what to do. We need to be comfortable with the idea that we don't have to know everything. We need to trust that the client is the expert. The client has the answers. The client knows and is resourceful enough to come up with a solution to their challenge. So, and I'm sure we all fall into this trap when we start finding ourselves like we want to tell and teach and we want to offer an analysis or we want to offer a suggestion. We will catch yourself during a coaching session, teaching, you know, or offering something. When you actually catch yourself doing that, please pause, just pause, you know, just pause. And instead of saying, I think you should do, or I think, or I recommend, or I suggest, use the word, what do you want to do? Or what does it mean to you? I mean, replace the word I with what, and trust that a curious question is going to follow your what. Okay. Another thing is connectedness, and being fully connected is by being observant and responsive. And that means, being observant is by noticing the client's words, their tone, their energy shift, even their hand movements, their eye movements, everything, as I said before, everything is a clue and everything says something. So you need to be very observant. And when you are very observant, that means you are fully present, you will be able to respond to that observation by giving the clients a leading question that is a curious leading question, in order for you to bring it to the surface, as we said, so that the client can explore it and process what it means to them or what they can do with it. And this is our role, to be responsive, to ask the question that is going to allow the client make sense out of it. And as we said, like bring this observation into focus, because sometimes we assume that the client is aware, but sometimes the client is not aware that they've been smiling, or they're using their hands a lot, or they're using repetitive words. The client is not aware, and that is our role as coaches, is to make notice of these things and to highlight them and bring it into focus for the client to process it. Okay, and this allows us to invite the client to explore and to reflect on that. And in order for them to be able to gain awareness about what it means, be it an emotion, be it an energy shift, be it a word that has been used by the client several times, whatever that is, it's to raise the client's awareness. Okay, spaciousness and the use of silence. I know a lot of us will find this very uncomfortable. Sometimes it's just like, as coaches, we sometimes feel like, did I ask the right question? Is it resonating with the client? Why is the client silent? And the more we are uncomfortable with the space and the silence, the more it's going to kind of disconnect us from the client. So we need to feel very comfortable. And this, let me tell you, this comes with practice. It's easier said than done, I know, but it comes with practice. So allow yourself to practice, and it's okay. Notice where you how uncomfortable you are with silence and spaciousness, and try to train yourself and practice more so that you can master spaciousness and the use of silence during the coaching session. All right, so it is very important that we provide space after the client thinking and speaking. Sometimes we are caught into the mind space where we actually, what we do is that we jump into the client's words, and we kind of like, we want to ask a question. That means that I was thinking and I was not being present. I was not listening, actually. I was actually thinking, because I was thinking of what would be my next question, right? So it is very important that we provide enough space. And if you are not very comfortable with the space, you can just train yourself to count silently from 1 to 3. You can just say 1, 2, 3, and then start thinking, just to make sure that the client has finished. Okay, because sometimes if the client is looking upwards or looking downwards or looking sideways or anything, that means they're not done. If I ask a question to the client and they didn't answer, that doesn't mean that they haven't heard me, and it doesn't mean that they didn't understand the question. It just means that they are thinking. So give them that space and be silent, because being silent is not about not talking. It's about knowing when to talk and when to stay silent. And it's very, very important. So if the client, be sure that if the client did not understand the question, they are going to ask you. They will ask you, I didn't get it. It didn't resonate with me. Can you repeat the question? So the client will tell you. If you ask the question and the client looks away, that means they're thinking. It doesn't mean that you need to repeat the question again, okay? It is very important that to stay present is to avoid any habitual verbal noises like, okay, yes, sure. Just try to, maybe one way of doing this is that maybe you need to record like your self-coaching in order to see what are the habitual verbal noises that you make during the session, because we all do sometimes. And you need to also practice being aware of what you say, what you do, and you need to make less of it in order to kind of remove any distractions for your clients and to stay present and to keep that connection with your client. Okay. Again, one way of helping us, deal with the space and the silence is that when we are very observant, it will give us a clue of when to speak and when to stay silent, as we said before. Okay. And inviting the client to explore the shift is being responsive. And last part is easy flow. Okay. Mastery of coaching is to slow down and make the entire coaching experience for the client to flow at a much slower pace. Okay. So it is very, very important for us to slow down. sometimes we could be at a much higher pace than our client. We need to notice that as well. We need to kind of dance with our clients, to be in harmony with our clients. And doing that is that we need to create a relaxed, easy flow of connection where you as a coach, you are client focused, you are fully connected, and you are honoring their client's pace and tone. And that's when we say you're dancing with the client. You are with the client's flow. You are actually calibrating that, the client's energy with yours, so that you are like in partnership with your client. Okay, so that's actually the end of my presentation. And if you have any questions, please please open your mics, or if I'm not sure whether you would like to keep this at the end of the session and we move into the live coaching session. Ala?
Yeah, so Shahira, only we have 2 questions on the chat. We may answer them as we still have 5 minutes, and then moving into the demo right away. So Mo asking how to maintain presence with remote coaching.
With remote coaching, you mean online?
I think this is what he means, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I would say it's best to kind of when you do that, it would help a lot when you have your camera on, because it will help you see better. Because I mean, you put a lot of pressure when you are online, only let's say doing a voice kind of session. It's very difficult sometimes to see their facial expressions, their hand movements, their eye movement. So it is best to make Zoom sessions where you have your camera on. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, and the other questions about the recording, yes, we mentioned that in the beginning. The recording will be available later. So people asking about the presentation, would you share this with them later as well?
Sure, I'll send it to you so that you can share it with the participants.
Sure, perfect. Okay, so now we can go into the demo. Let's bring up our client, Ahmed Al-Hilali. We have Ahmed now. Hi, Ahmed. I think you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Hi, Ala. Hi, Shahira.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm just like closing in the windows. Okay. Okay, are you ready, Ahmed?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to first, I would like to thank you for being very courageous to kind of volunteering to be a client, you know. And I understand sometimes it's not that easy being under the spot, and also for giving us the consent to record the session.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. And before we start, I just want to ask you, is there anything that I can offer you that will make you more at ease and more comfortable?
Well, no, actually, thank you. I'm as comfortable as I would get in being in such situations. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm very comfortable.
Okay. So as Ala said, we have 30 minutes. So what would you want to focus on today's session?
Well, actually, I've been thinking about this point since I agreed to, or actually since I volunteered for this demo. And there's one very hot topic for me, which had been nagging in my head for a while now, causing a lot of distress, a lot of problems emotionally or internally, at least, I mean, which is, well, I don't know how to articulate it in the best way. It's somehow between expressing my emotions or expressing how I feel towards people or situations, and not liking to upset other people, or actually not liking other people to be upset from me. Let me say it in that way. I'm not liking to have someone who's upset from me or because they upset me or anything like that. So when this happens, I don't come and show my emotions. I don't come and tell you, Shahira, you did upset me with this or that, just because I don't want you to be upset because of the whole situation. So I'm not gonna come and tell you I'm upset. But I guess my part is to start to be more open there, putting Hilali maybe in the higher rank a bit. Yeah, because that actually made a lot of problems for me in the early stages. I did overcome it for a while, and then it researched again in a much more aggressive way. Started to be maybe frustrated or angry or upset from situations, and it's like, it's not worth mentioning, or it's not worth talking about it, or I'm not gonna be the one who's gonna raise the issue, or let it sink, let it go. You're older than this, you are much more bigger than this. It doesn't deserve to stand at that point and make a whole issue out of it. But actually that made my migraines, my stress, all that research again after I've been treating it for a long while, and I've been actually doing well with it. And after going and to a couple of neurologists or psychiatrists or stuff like that, and they all said, you have nothing, all you have is stress, so you need to work with a coach. I told them I'm a life coach, and told me, ha, joke on you. You're gonna need to find someone else. That's my main issue, to deal with this thing.
I sense a lot of emotions present as you're talking about what you're feeling and not being able to express your emotions to those who upset you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what you're feeling.
Well, I always articulate or say it in that place a lot of time, because of I suppress such emotions or I get upset from situations. There are times where I say that I feel like, when COVID hit at the very beginning and people were, I know I'm drinking coffee, I can see the coffee, but I do not smell it and I do not taste it, but I know I'm drinking it. And for a while, a lot of emotions for me turned out to be that way. I know I should be happy right now. I know the situation is a happy situation, but I don't feel it. And I don't feel it because I feel like something inside me did not get the payback. Like someone told me something or a situation rise, and I let go because I'm the bigger person, or because I'm Hilali, you're bigger than this. But because it keeps playing here in my head, and it keeps going like, you didn't get your payback, you didn't get your right, you didn't right or wrong that's been happened to you. So I keep thinking in my mind a lot, so I don't enjoy the moment. So it's actually in a place where people are praising me, people are telling me, great job, good job, you did a great thing. But in my head, yeah, but I didn't punch him. I didn't return the insult that happened to me. So that put a lot of stress actually on me. Way too much stress to handle while trying to handle a lot of, the difficulties that we've been passing by these days.
Okay, you emphasize a lot getting the payback.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to you? What does that mean to you, the payback?
All right, so I know a lot of people maybe don't look at this, and this is maybe some sort of stereotyping, but I'm Scorpio, and Scorpios are known for paying back. But thing is, all right, so whenever I've been growing up since the ages, I'm raised as a people pleaser, either because my family is, the whole family is actually a people pleaser, or my very small family, my parents are the same thing. We've been always raised like anything that ever happens to you, it's okay, let it go. If someone insulted you, it's okay, you are the bigger person. If someone needed something that you have, it's theirs. You have to be generous, you have to be all of that stuff. So I'm the bigger person. There is I don't know if they're foreign or here or anything, but there is a concept in Egypt exactly, which is راجل العائلة. I don't know how we can say it in English in the best way, but my dad is that person for the family, and I'm raised to actually be like that for him. So whenever anyone, as in anyone, do anything, you're literally the bigger person. So you shouldn't go and tell them you did upset me with this or that. And this past the family, I've dealt with the family part. But when it comes to colleagues or friends or a lot of things, I'm still stuck at the same place, which is if, for example, Shahira talked to me in a wrong way or wronged me publicly in front of people, I believe that inside my head, it's like, no, come here. What you did is not right. What you did is not polite. I should at least get an apology from you or get a respect from you. I should say that publicly. I do, or that's the way I feel. I feel like I need to say that to you publicly, just like you did wrong me publicly. But what happens is I don't. And I let go because no, in my head, no one's gonna care about this. Or خلاص, and you're making such a big deal out of it. It's not worth it to stand right at this point. But this caused a lot of stress, which caused a lot of migraine, which caused a lot of insomnia, and all that I know is only related to the stress of not being able to, because when I go to sleep, actually in my head, why didn't I punch him? Why didn't I just tell him or tell her to go do something? I'm not gonna say it here, but go. I don't like what you're doing to me. I don't like the way you're treating me. So, but I didn't, and I don't act like that, which makes me actually not happy, not satisfied, not feeling like I'm the bigger person. But when those situations happen, I feel like I'm actually the little person, not the bigger person, because I didn't act. I didn't take my right.
Okay, so you mentioned being the bigger person and the little person, and the bigger person is the one who just lets everything slide because you need to be the bigger person. And the little person is the one, what? Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Who people walk all over him.
Okay.
You're being taken for granted. You're not being respected enough in the area where I'm not going to do something to upset you because I love you or I respect you. So I do believe that a little person is a person who I don't look at that like that. So it's okay to insult you. It's okay to walk over you. It's okay to ignore you, as long as I know 100% that you're not gonna pay back or you're not gonna stand or confront me. So for me, that's the little person, the person who does not stand for themselves.
So Hilary, how would you like to feel instead?
Well, that actually that specific area is the dilemma, because I do like to be a forgiving person, and I always praise myself and I talk high about myself that I'm being forgiving. But as I always tell my own clients, I know that not everything that we do to people, we say to ourselves in the right way, but there's a big difference between forgiving and forgetting. And there's a big difference between actually forgiving while you are in a place of power. So people know that willingly you did forgive, or willingly you did give the right to pay back, but you could have. What I do feel, if I remember the question good, because is that I'd like to feel that I'm forgiving others, doing that, but while I'm actually accepting doing that. Like and I'm keep giving you as an example. So if Shahira did something wrong to me, wrongly in publicly or so, I want to be okay with letting that go. But after telling her that you did wrong me, and if I did decide not to go and tell her, to be okay with not going and tell her. But what happens right now is I don't go and tell her, and I beat myself up later that I didn't do that. I should have did so and so and so. And very like, it's not recently away, but like what, 10 or 9 months ago. And this is to show you how I do not let go in my head. So there is a situation that arose with a colleague, and I didn't like it. It was not acceptable for me to be happening. And I actually am the one who went to try to bury the hatch, while I do believe I'm the one who was wrong too. But just because I don't like to be in such situation where I'm in conflict with you. So I did let go, but until now it's beating me up, because in my head it keeps saying that he did not respect the act, or did not see the act of burying the hatch as an act of kindness. Rather, they saw it as an act of weakness. So they kept doing what they were doing. And because somehow I'm forced to be working with that person, for the time being, of course, we keep reoccurring and re-interacting together. We keep cross-passing a lot. And when that happens, I keep remembering that everything you're doing right now is because I didn't stand up to you in the back.
Okay. Again, I noticed an energy shift, especially when I don't know if it's this specific incident that is making you a little bit more emotional, or so I'm very curious to know what are you feeling when we're just talking about this specific incident?
All right, so it's a lot of anger, actually. And not an anger towards the person, it's an anger towards Hilali. Because I know pretty much that in the past, I wouldn't have let that thing pass. And I would have went, confronted, and practically made a scene out of it. And so I've passed by a lot of stages. A stage where I used to do what I'm telling you right now, to stand up in a very dramatic way and make a whole scene out of it, maybe exaggerating. And then I did work on myself a lot, and I started to, and no, actually I did not work on myself. So I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a trauma. And I had hepatitis A, which caused me a lot of trauma, and I was being neglected by a lot of key family members in a phase where it was very health risky. I was told, because I did not confront at that part, because I was upset and I felt I shouldn't ask for care or for support from everyone else. So I kept suppressing, which made a 3-week treatment jump into a 3 months treatment, and a couple of medications jump into, we're gonna start searching for a liver donor. So it was somehow risky. At that part, when the doctor told me that specific part, we're gonna start looking for a liver donor, I stood, took a pause, and I said, I don't know if I'm allowed to. I said, screw it. I'm not gonna think about anything else. Everyone else does not exist right now. It's only Hilali. I'm not gonna reach the point where I need that transplant or that donor. And I worked on myself and I reduced the situation. But after that part, it's kind of like I didn't know how to get back to the Hilali who used to stand up for himself. So right now I'm in the middle, where I don't know how to do it, or I tell myself that I don't know how to do it. I actually don't know which is which, but I'm not doing it and I'm not okay with not doing it. So I'm not forgiving and I'm not forgetting. And I'm not getting back.
I feel a lot of heaviness. And
Yeah.
So basically, would we say that what you want is that you want to connect with your old Hilali and forgive Hilali? Is that, what is it?
I'm an introvert.
Mhm.
So I'm someone who's friend with himself more than he's friend with others. I'm someone who I do believe that I did, and I loved how you expressed it rightly, to reconnect with Hilali. I feel like I'm disconnected from Hilali, yes, 100%. And that's not making me feeling well. That's making me feel like what I'm doing, what I'm teaching, what I'm telling others, right as it is and important as it is, yet I'm not able to apply it completely on myself. And that's why a lot of topics right now I do not coach about, because I don't feel like I did pass the trigger where it's still triggering me and myself. And I start right now, and I teach a lot of people right now to actually meditate a lot, to be mindful, to connect, to find all that, to be present as the competency that we're talking about now, which is presence and action. I'm doing that to myself before I'm doing it to others, because I feel like I'm not 100% in harmony with myself. And a lot of time I do feel like my body is responding to that in not in the best way. So the migraines, as I told you, researched again, it's a lot of pains that are 100% because of stress started to research again. And I know that this is happening because I'm not in connection with myself.
So now that you're clear on what you want, what would you say your ideal outcome by the end of our session is?
My outcome from the session, my ideal outcome from this, you mean, right? Well, I do know that I need to decide which person I want to continue with, the payback person or the payback person also, but with mind. So I'm not gonna let my right 100% go, and I'm gonna stand for myself. But to reach this, I do believe that I need first to reach oneness with myself and to be connected with my whole, to actually grasp some of the emotions that I know I feel, but I do not yet express 100% in the right way. So that when I come to Shahira and tell her I'm upset from that, I do it from a point of strength and from a point of abandonment. I don't care. I'm just telling you this so you know, but I'm not waiting for anything else. I'm just doing it because I deserve to lay it off from myself. So yeah, for me, that's the most outcome I'm sort of gonna work on to try to understand more about Hilali first, and then continue.
Okay, so what do you feel we need to address in order to get that outcome?
So can you repeat the question, Shahira?
Yes, I mean, I said, what do you feel we need to address in order to come to that outcome?
All right, so number one is that I do believe we need to address, or I need to address what's actually stopping me from doing the expression of emotion. And I actually don't know what is stopping me from expressing the emotion. it used to be first because I didn't want others to be upset, because a lot of time, if I care about you, I don't want you to be upset from me. And I don't want you to be upset that you did upset me. So I need to put in mind and address that if I love you, I should love myself more. And I teach people actually self-love, yet in that area, it's somehow tricky. I need to address, or we need to address, putting the right emotion into words, so expressing it in the best way. I used to journal a lot. For the past month or two, I did not journal. And I need to meditate more, actually. I need to calm from the inside way more.
So,
And I need to do one thing, because that part, and I'm sorry, Yani, I'm a person, and I'm gonna say this just once. I'm not gonna repeat it again. I'm a person who do not know how to show their emotion, including, in the memorial services, that person who keeps laughing, that's me. At funerals, I'm the one who keeps laughing. And I'm the one who keeps laughing. For me, I do believe that it's some sort of a distraction. So I do not know how to express those feelings, except that I go laugh, and laugh a lot till you tear up from the laughing. And for me, that's the only possible way to tear up without looking, or without being vulnerable that way. If I need to work on this, yeah.
okay, so I acknowledge you for being very vulnerable and for admitting how do you actually stop yourself from being vulnerable.
Mm.
Yeah. So you mentioned laughing as a distraction.
Yeah.
So what would you replace that with in order to connect more with yourself? Because what we've been discussing is that we need to reconnect with Hilali again. So apparently you have adopted new ways of distracting yourself, of not being vulnerable, of kind of like moving away from those emotions. So what can you do to stay with those emotions?
Well, I do believe that being, and I see it as an external and internal factor. So looking at the external factor, I do believe I need to be surrounded with a good support group, because I do believe that we need support group who are not living in this universe alone. So every single person of us need the right support group in this area, at least. So that's one. And the other one is to start actually, or to return doing it, talking to myself, and starting to first, before connecting with those emotions, or before showing or expressing those emotions to others, to start showing it to myself first. And I started working on that just a bit, but not on the sad emotion, but on the good emotions. I was very recently in Dubai, and I'm a person who at weddings stands like this. But I was at a summit and people were jumping and laughing and so, and yeah, I didn't dance as in dance, but I did a lot of somehow movement, which is for me expressing the happiness on my face, or expressing stuff like that. I started trying to show this in front of people. And for me to do this, it's a huge leap and a huge step. And maybe after or through mastering this, or being able to 100% express those happy emotions, maybe I would be able more to express the down or the sad or the other negative emotions. And yeah, talking to myself a lot, because I need to be able to confront Hilali first before being able to show others. I'm a person who hates fake people. I cannot stand fake people. So if I know that someone in front of me is not showing their true face or their true emotions, I actually get upset and I close and I don't connect with them. So I keep telling to myself, you are doing literally the same thing by showing something different than what you are actually feeling. So I need to talk to myself more. Yeah.
I noticed that you said talk to myself several times. So obviously this is something that supports you in one way or another to connect to yourself. So can you tell me more about it? How does it serve you to talk to yourself? And you also mentioned confronting yourself, confronting Hilali.
Confronting Hilali, yes.
Oh.
Okay, so actually, I've tried talking to myself several times, and it's the one thing that really worked to talk to myself, because as I told you, I'm an introvert, and I try to widen my network, and I do widen my network, and I'm actually teaching rapport and networking. So I do this and I know how to network, but on an individual level, not as a group. So I can come to Shahira and talk to her. But if Shahira is standing with 10 people, I'm going to wait for Shahira to be alone, then I'm going to go and talk to Shahira. So I'm not used to talk to a lot of gatherings. So I talk to myself. I made a friendship with myself. First time I did actually experience this as a positive thing was I had a phobia from heights, and I'm the person who, when going to Malahi, to playing areas or so, I just watch the roller coasters and I don't ride them, and I feel like my heart is pounding from downside, just not while I'm riding it. But I was going to Disneyland Paris, and I told to myself, if you're not gonna pass this thing here, you're never gonna pass it. And I kept talking to myself that, and that was for the first time, and that was actually after learning coaching, after studying coaching. So I started to gain that awareness. I kept telling to myself, let's stop asking what's the worst that's gonna happen and start asking what's the best that's gonna happen, and started to visualize and utilize actually surrounding stuff around me. I'm a Star Wars person. I love Star Wars. So that ride specifically was a Star Wars theme. So I kept looking at the sword and the lights of Star Wars and started to distract myself with them. And for the very first time after finishing that ride, I went again into the queue to ride it again, which is something it never happened. And I went to a couple of life coaches and a couple of therapists before that incident to do and help me with this. And none of us actually did a job as good as when I did it to myself and when I talked to myself. So I know that talking to Hilali has the most powerful impact. And this won't happen 100% unless I believe in what I'm saying. And for me to believe, I need to accept that not everyone deserves the punchback, or not everyone deserves the payback. I always say that if you're walking in the street, and I know that what I'm telling people, I do not apply to myself a lot in that specific area, but I always say, if you're walking in a street and some random delivery guy or some random buyer turned their head to you and insulted you with a word, you're not going to stop, because they mean nothing to you, and the words mean nothing to you, and their attitude or their facial expressions should mean nothing to you, and you're never going to stop. So why are you stopping at those people while you are ignoring others? That means you are giving, either you are giving people who upset you a bigger value or a bigger volume, or maybe you are, I don't know. But still, I mean, I need to talk to myself in that area, but I first need to know how to put everyone into the right place for me.
Wow, that's amazing. So, so apparently talking to Hilali is a very powerful thing for you. Okay,
Yeah.
so we want to bring Hilali, and we want Hilali to tell us, how can Hilali support you to be connected again?
Okay, so Yeah. Okay, so
So what's behind that smile? I mean, it's a different kind of smile. Since the session, we have different kinds of smile, but this one is different. So tell me more about it.
all right. So I do believe that if I am to support Hilali, I am to, or Hilali should actually, I don't know which person I'm talking with, but to give them the support they need, give them the space they need. I always keep myself busy. I always keep myself busy with a lot of stuff, just not to be in your head. So I need to give him his space. I need to appreciate and actually show respect to the struggle in that specific area and validate it, because it's okay to not always knowing what to do. I need to keep pushing him to journal again, because journaling was something good that I used to do. And journaling came from writing, because I love writing. And one day I hope to have my novel published. So, and when I met Robin Sharma, I told him this. I told him that one of my goals and dreams is to be like you, to do self-development and self-help books in a sort of novel, because I love that style of thing. So I need to push Hilali to keep doing this. And I need to, just as we protected ourselves in the COVID using the face masks and the shields and the distance and everything, to keep ourselves from being infected one way or another, to distance myself from those people who are not right now doing me any good. Maybe the environment itself, or the thing where I'm in right now, is something that I like, but I need to distance myself from those people, because in my mind, I wanted to quit actually, because I didn't want to confront them, but there are very few. And I don't think I should give something I love just to get away from someone who somehow is upsetting me or getting over my nerve. So I need to keep telling Hilali that it's okay to do this, and that it's okay to feel that way, and that actually the only person who matters to Hilali the most should be Hilali than everyone else. So I need to tell him he's listened to, he's felt, he's appreciated, and that it's okay to watch a movie and get emotional with it. I don't do this. I always try. I never show emotions to regard, and I can't believe I'm doing this in publicly. I'm very self-aware right now. But thing is that I need to cross that line, and I think that this session actually did give me the push to be talking like this in front of people, and knowing that it's being seen and it's being recorded, and being okay with that. I do feel that's another step in working on myself regarding that specific point, to be frank with myself, open with myself before being frank and open with others, to respect how I feel before waiting for others to respect how I feel.
Wow. So who said we're not going to hide, right? So why? Why?
I'm work in progress. I'm still work in progress, like we all are. We're still all work in progress. So,
All right.
Yeah.
So what are you becoming clear about now?
What? I'm sorry, again, the question.
I said, what is coming? What are you becoming aware of? And I mean, what are you becoming clear about now?
Okay, so if I'm getting the question in the way I understand it, I'm very aware of my breathing right now. I'm very aware of my heart pounding, like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You're putting us on exposure, you're putting us on display. And I feel actually if I'm wearing a mic right now here, you'd hear it pumping. But at the same time, I feel proud of Hilary because I'm very aware of, I didn't isolate myself from knowing that this session is being observed by others. So I'm very aware of this. And I'm very aware of being able to talk, display myself, and being vulnerable in front of all these people who I know a lot of, or most probably they're all in our field and in the coaching field. So I know that it's not that easy to do this. So I'm aware of the strengths I have to do this. I'm aware of, as I told you, my breathing, and I'm now aware of having more than one smile. I never noticed that having different smiles before. You told me you have a different smile. I never thought. It never actually came to my mind that I have a couple of smiles before. I know people told me you have different laughs, but smiles, it's something that I'm very new to it. So yeah, that's what I'm about. And I actually came, while talking, it came to my mindset. I'm actually giving those people, a lot of value and a lot of power that should not be given to them. And that I know that I have a great support group, by the way. I have the best support group ever. I have the best friends in the world. I know this for sure. But I do realize that I've been pitching and I've been whining and I've been complaining for the sake of bitching and whining and complaining, not for the sake of the relief or the weight, to remove the weight from over my chest here. I don't know if I've answered the questions good, but words are just coming here. I'm not thinking what I'm saying now. Things are coming out there.
And actually, that's the beauty of it, because you're very present and you're right here in that far space, and this is where I want you to be.
Yeah, that's new to me, actually. Yeah, that's not new to me with my very close friends, but to be doing it publicly, it's something completely 100% new for me. And I do say that because I actually tried meditation a couple of times in publicly, not alone. And my friend, the very first time I made meditation, it was with one of the great people. And she told me, I told her I'm not able to clear my head. So she told me, all right, whenever a thought comes to your head, you should go, leave it in a box, and we're going to return to that thought back again. And at the end of the 40 minutes meditation, she told me, how did you feel? I told her I was staying beside the box. I didn't have the time to leave a thought at the box and return back again. I was guarding the box. I was there. I was sitting just inside that box or living there. So I didn't know how to disconnect. I learned it a year later after meeting a new meditation practitioner who was able to somehow, just for a little bit, grasp me out of it. So I'm always in my head. I'm always present. I never learned to be present as in 100%, just letting words flow. I always keep noticing what's coming out of Hilal's mouth, how, why, where, when, to whom, every single thing. For me to be just talking without thinking, that's new.
Well, you've experienced it today.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So, Hilali, tell me, what did you learn about yourself today?
What did I learn about myself today? That I'm not 100% an introvert that I thought I am. I talked in front of a lot of people now. I'm not seeing them, but still, they're existing. I learned about myself that I can actually open up and be somehow much more vulnerable than I'm giving myself credit for. And that I actually don't want to always get back to people, because I've always thought this. I've always said to myself that I'm in the middle of a dilemma that's horrible, which is that I'm a Scorpio who's a zodiac whose aim is to pay back, We are actually in our DNA as a Scorpius for the payback. Yet I'm type 2 Enneagram, which is people pleaser. So are you a people pleaser or you're gonna get back to them? That specific part was a conflict for me for a very long time. So what I learned about myself somehow today is that it's okay. It's okay to be in that struggle, and it's okay to actually deviate from both. They do not say who you are. And the person who is dictating who I am, not a Zodiac, not an Enneagram, not an MBTI, not anything else. All those are guidelines, but still Hilali is the one who determines who Hilali is.
Great. So what are you going to do with that awareness moving forward?
What I'm gonna do with this awareness moving forward? All right, so that's a tough one actually, because I'm still in the area where part of my head want to reply with, I'm gonna work on myself, I'm gonna forgive others, forget them and ignore them. And the other part want to say, no, I want to confront them. I'm still working in the middle between both to reach a conclusion where how to do it actually without getting on your nerves, or how to let go, and while letting go, telling the others that, by the way, I'm letting go, but you did this and that for me. You did not do me right. You did me wrong. You didn't respect the friendship or a relationship or whatever. You didn't respect the boundaries without being angry inside. So yeah.
So how do you want to make sure that this happens?
How do I want to make sure that this happens? That's even tougher than the previous question. I'm very aware right now what our clients feel when we are pushing them to those questions and they do not know what to answer. How do I? Journaling would be something that I really used to love, and if I committed again to journaling and committed again to writing what's in my head and keeping the promises that I write in my journal for Hilali, that's one thing. My best friend should know when to jump in and tell me you are going off track, the track you did decide and do for yourself. And I need to check in with Hilali every once in a while. I need to have an actual one-to-one coaching session with Hilali, one-to-one open heart talk with Hilali. If it's possible to tell ChatGPT act as Hilali and talk to him, it would be great, but because it's not possible, so I need to actually talk to myself. We've been taught in the past that talking to yourself makes you crazy, but I realized that not talking to yourself makes you even crazier. So I need to talk to Hilali every once in a while, have a chit chat with him, go on coffee, go for a coffee anywhere, or somewhere and just talk to him. Heba, how are you doing? Tell me, and actually replying, because I never did that before. I talk to myself in my head, but never out loud, and never taking myself solo for coffee. Just never happened.
Okay, so at the beginning of the session, you said that you wanted to connect with Hilali again. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now? How do you feel now about that?
Okay, so I'm starting to see Hilali, which is something that did not happen. As I always say, I used to talk to myself in my head. So my friend in my head, but a couple of moments at the session, I manifested Hilali outside. I saw Hilali outside as a different person. I did feel some shift in the breathing, either heavier or smoother for me, for myself, I mean, inside. This one, I started to understand a bit why some stuff that did upset me before I was not able to let go. And I do believe that every single thing that happened in the past, in the present past, and in the very near past, that's making me upset about a lot of stuff, is that because I didn't deal with Hilali, not because of the other person. So I need to reconnect with myself first. And I believe that's something that I started to do in this session. And yeah, thank you for it, Tawan, of course. But that's the part where I do need to continue working on.
What supports you? I mean, how can I support you as your coach?
Okay, so I do believe, yes, it's to I don't know how to make me accountable for what I said, but to make me accountable for what I said, which is maybe check in every once in a while in a session or in a coaching session setup regarding the progress of that. Especially that I know for sure now that it's not an outside factor, it's an inside factor. So it's all Hilali working, not anyone else. So yeah, I do believe that every once in a while a coaching session to check in and making sure we are right on track.
Sure, I would love to support you in any way possible, and we can work on that.
Thank you, Shahira.
Is there anything that you want to add before we conclude our session today?
Actually, very much thankful for you. Very much thankful for giving the opportunity to work on such thing with such an experienced coach, and to actually removing one of the many barriers of expressing how I feel. It's something great. So I just want to thank you for this session.
Thank you. You did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you as my client. Thank you very much, Eli, and it was a great honor to have you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Shahira.
Thanks a lot, Hilali and Shahira, for the amazing session and for the real demonstration of presence, how you were there with him, listening by all your body to what he said. So I learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. Would you like to debrief or share from your experience what happens there before taking questions?
You mean you want me to share?
If you have anything to share before we open for questions.
Okay. I tried as much as I can just to highlight the points that we talked about in the presentation today. And Hilali did a fantastic job actually kind of dealing with his emotions and expressing it. And even when I mentioned that we had different smiles and laughs, each one of them meant something within the context of what he was talking about. So it meant something very different. The laugh, at the beginning, it was a distraction. The smile, it was the, so each one of them meant something. And this is what I would advise coaches to kind of notice. And this is what we said, like being very, very observant, so that you can become more responsive and ask a curious question that is going to invoke what is going on with your clients. So thank you, Hilali. Thank you for demonstrating a great model of being present, and for also acknowledging that it's something always been in your mind and it was new to you to stay in the heart level. So I know this is very, it takes a lot of courage to be there. So I want to really thank you for being very vulnerable today. Thank you.
Thanks, Shahira.
Thank you, Shahira.
Thank you, guys. I pasted the link for the survey in the chat. Please go through that and to gain your certificate. And any questions for Shahira? Any comment, observation? Mo, yes, Mo, go ahead. Yes, Mo. need to
Yeah,
speak.
thank you so much. Thanks, Ms. Shahira and Ahmed, for that. A quick question. I'm new in the coaching business, and I always like to take notes. I noticed that you didn't take any notes. You were very focused on the client. So what is your advice on this? Like, what is the best way to take notes and handle the situation?
Okay. In all honesty, I do sometimes take notes, yes. But if I really, really want to be very, very present, then I would rather not take notes. And that's my personal opinion, because sometimes the client, it just all depends on the client, because sometimes, unless you kind of establish that at the beginning of the session, because sometimes the client just feels like, what are you writing? And so they become more focused on what you're writing more than they are present in the session. So if that is something that is going to distract the presence of the session, then I don't recommend that you take notes, you know, because you just need to be very, very present, because it is about the client. I know sometimes we need to kind of remind ourselves with words and stuff like that. Maybe that would be more if you have to do a session that it's not like a video session. But I think it's like staying connected with your client is way, way more important than taking notes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Any other question? Okay, if no questions, then again, thanks a lot, Shahira, for your time and for the presentation in the beginning. Thank you, Hilali, for being yourself and open, and we all learned from you today. Thank you for everyone who joined. I see that the number is still the same, so that means they were engaged from the first minute to the last. Thanks, Shahira. Thanks, everybody, and see you in our next session. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for creating this space for us to be sharing experiences. Thank you, and thank you again, Hilali. Thank you, ICF Egypt, and thank you everyone who was here on this call today. Thank you, and wishing you all a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi.